Are we ready? Are we
Yes,
live?
we are. We are absolutely
Hi.
live. How you doing?
Hey, doing great. All right, so we're about to have the Vancouver Murder versus Tyne and Fear roller derby bouts. I'm here. I'm Brutal from Monstar, and this is
I'm the King. And so I'm going to go ahead and run down the roster of the Vancouver Murder. We're going to start with 00 Bennett, 01 Big Sexy, number 10 Mrs. Testosterone, 100 Scott Slamilton, 110 Mr. Testosterone, 17 Zimmer, 1936 Harasson Ford, 256 Morrison, 31 Bruceberry Pie, 338 Fluster Cluck, 37 Stark, 4 Stand Aside, 41 Rogers, 56 Iron Fist, and number 8 Lodge.
all right. And for Tyne and Fear roller derby, we have number 0 is Barnabash, number 1 is Dark Matter, number 137 is Fubar, 181 is Tank, 26 is Chemic Al, number 50 is Bull, number 6 is Yorgie Bear, 762 is Jam Munition, number 8 is Sparky, number 82 is Dog, number 83 is Nicholas Rage, and number 9 is Moo, and there is another Sparky, number 99.
So get your Sparkies straight. We're about to get it on. Dark Matter's out there jamming for Tyne and Fear, and right now stuck behind a very strong murder wall.
And jamming for Vancouver is Mr. Testosterone, and he does pick up lead jam in the first jam of this bout.
Number 82 picking up a penalty. Will be headed out to the penalty box. Mr. Testosterone's back around in the top of the apex. Nice little spin and maneuvers around, picking up a full 5-point grand slam.
Vancouver's hanging back at the back of the pack to slow it down so that Mr. Testosterone can catch up quicker, which he does. He jumps in and picks up
2 points.
2 points.
Yes, indeed. And they did manage to hold Tyne and Fear scoreless during that jam.
All right. Good start for Vancouver, for sure.
Absolutely. So some of the awesome officials we have out there on the track, Morticia, Andy Oakley, Galvatron, Kami, Kill C Grammar, Tuck and Roll, Bunny Wrench, Chloroform Cupcakes, Demolisher, and Extra Crispy.
All right, now we're off to our second jam here. Jamming for Vancouver is Lodge, and jamming for Tyne and Fear is Moo.
Lodge right now trying to get around, got knocked out of bounds on the outside.
And Moo picking up lead jammer in the second jam here.
Vancouver holding way back, and their defense is set all the way back, almost at the pivot line. Lodge right now up front, trying to bust his way through up in corner number 2.
Moo getting recycled back again, tries to go to the inside. He tiptoes, nearly makes it, but gets picked off on the outside.
Yeah, that was a nice hit by Iron Fist. Lodge still stuck in the straightaway, ricocheting off of all them blocking white shirts out there, even with a little bit of offensive help, still stuck in the pack.
Moo back at the back again, fighting that brutal Vancouver defense.
Barnabash picking up a forearm call, will spend 30 seconds of his life in the penalty box.
With, it looks like a star stash.
Well, no, Brendan, actually, he's out of the pack. That would be Lodge. Out of the pack, and he does force that call off. They did pick up another 5 points. So Vancouver right now sitting at 7, Tyne and Fear at 5 as we roll in, or done with jam number 2. Some of the other awesome officials that I was giving shout-outs for, Ninja Sassum, Kieran Duncan, Kat Akilsum, MC Ninja, Wife O, Just Dylan, Lord Lexalt, and Mary Chaos.
All right, coming into the third jam here. Jamming for Vancouver is Stark, and for Tyne and Fear is Sparky.
Stark and Sparky. Sparky stuck in inside of that Vancouver wall, getting all banged around. Looks like there is a kick out and
looks like
drag
Stark
back.
for Vancouver picks up lead jammer.
And there is a forearm call, and that's going to be on Sparky. Now Vancouver is in a power jam. Excellent defense by Tyne and Fear up in corner number 3. Stark having a struggle trying to get out and around.
There's a penalty being called on.
Well, there's a couple penalties.
Cut track on Stark looks like is one of them.
Yep, and I believe engaging a down skater or possibly out of play call. I was trying to see the call, but they are across the track from us. But that's putting one of the Tyne and Fear blockers down.
All right, now one of the Sparkies is trying to come back onto the track, getting pulled way back. I believe that is number 31, which is Bruceberry Pie. They got it out eventually.
Miss Testosterone jumps in there. Nice recycling work. Lots of offense coming from Tyne and Fear because they are in this power jam. And Vancouver
Sparky with a quick apex jump.
Yeah.
Jumps through, picks up some points there. And another apex jump from Sparky. And a pile up. Lane 4. Lane 1, turn 4.
Oh, and Zimmer picking up a penalty. I believe is when he landed on top of Sparky. Nice battle up front at the pivot line. Out of play being called. Stark is out and picks up his points.
Sparky through the pack now, too.
Offense coming. Miss Testosterone trying to open something up. Stark gets wedged in between two blockers, ends up down on the track. Jam comes to an end. There will probably be a couple points thrown up for Vancouver at the end of it. As we sit now, Vancouver with 15, Tyne and Fear 14. It seems to be the theme of the day, close games and nail biters.
Every one of them today.
Yeah, they did. They gave Vancouver just a couple more points. They are now sitting on 17.
All right, jamming for Tyne and Fear is Dark Matter.
Dark Matter quickly navigates through that wall of black and red, ends up as lead jammer.
Mr. Testosterone, he's still fighting against a 3-wall there. Gets pushed to the outside. Pretty harsh.
William.
And he's being recycled way back to the back.
Really impressed with Tyne and Fear's defense right now. They're very, very strong in locking down that jammer. Mr. Testosterone tries to take the inside line, gets knocked out of bounds. Is not your lead jammer on his initial pass.
And Tyne and Fear jammer calls off the jam. I think he's picking up 3. Yes. So we have a tied game, 17 and 17.
I'd like to give a big old shout out to Five Strides. If you're over in the Portland area, stop by Five Strides and pick up some awesome derby gear.
Looks like jamming for Tyne and Fear is Moo.
And Lodge out there for Vancouver. Lodge already has only one player left to beat. Out of play is called, and he is free to go as your lead jammer.
Moo still working his way through the pack. Takes to the outside. 1 left to go, and he's through.
That was a nice shrug off there, getting that last blocker out of the way. Last blocker, though, up front. Plays a little bit of offense, gets Lodge out. Lodge clears all of his points and quickly calls off this jam.
So that is 4 more for Vancouver, bringing our score to 21-17. Lining up for Vancouver, looks like they have Stark and another Sparky, so it's another Sparky Stark.
Looks like there will be a slight pack advantage for Tyne and Fear as Vancouver is a blocker down going into this next jam.
This is basically a rematch of Jam 3, and they're both out. Which one is lead? It looks like they gave it to Stark.
Yeah, Stark's gonna. I might have burned a little bit more time to get my blocker out of the box. Stark wanted to play a little jammer on jammer defense. You know, yeah, it's good that he called it off and not lost any points. Get a new lineup out there. Mr. Testosterone's in the queue.
Not wasting any time.
Vancouver right now having a 4-point lead.
Looks like Vancouver's lining up at our Vault 31 pivot line, giving their jammers some time to run. Pushing Dark Matter to the inside.
And Dark Matter also getting knocked to the outside. Mr. Testosterone made it all the way up through the apex, ends up on the deck. Out of place called. He is your lead jammer, but it is going to be a foot race to the back of the pack as Dark Matter is out on initial also.
All right, so our pack is speeding up, trying to make the trip a lot longer for both of those jammers. He gets hit to the outside and calls it off. Picks up 3 points for Tyne and Fear.
You know, so far in this game, we have not seen any runaway scores, any big scoring jams. It's all kind of nickel and dime, a few points here, a few points there.
Very true.
And right
I
now,
think the biggest jam of the day was a 20-point jam. 22.
of the day, not in this game though.
Not in this game.
Yeah.
So far today.
Yep, 24-20 right now is our current score. Vancouver holding onto that 4-point lead.
Jamming for Vancouver, we've got Stark out there, and for Tyne and Fear is Moo.
Slamilton with a gigantic hit. Two forces collide. Moo getting knocked out of bounds.
It's really awesome to see Stark jamming with Scott Slamilton being the pivot. He is a very good jammer, too.
Oh, yeah. Scott Slamilton, of course, coming from Puget. Puget, first time in history of my memory, not in the championship series this year.
No. Is it Denver's first year?
I believe it is. And Gotham also not making an appearance this year.
Things are changing.
Yeah, tides are changing. We do have an empty penalty box.
That is the Rydell penalty
Thank
box, sir.
you very much. The Rydell penalty box.
All right, jamming for Vancouver is Lodge. Tyne and Fear has Sparky out there.
Sparky came in like a wrecking ball. Bodies went a-flying. Sparky, now your lead jammer.
The other Sparky on Tyne and Fear, number 8, has just been sent to the Rydell penalty box. Not sure what the call was.
Sparky doing a fine job up front. Picks up all 4 points and calls that jam off. We've got a tied game.
For the second time today. Oh, for the second time this game.
This game.
There have been a lot of ties today.
Yes, there has.
All right, looks like we're all standing at the pivot line again. That is the Vault 31 pivot line, excuse me.
Mr. Testosterone standing in the back for Vancouver with Star on helmet. Will be going up against Dark Matter. They have a very, Tyne and Fear seems to have a very tight rotation in their jammer rotation.
Definitely, and Vancouver using some great defense definitely held back Dark Matter long enough for Mr. Testosterone to pick up lead jam.
Mr. Testosterone taking a whip off the back of one of his blockers, leaps through all Peter Pan style, picks up 4 points. They take back the lead.
28-24, Vancouver. Lining up for Vancouver right now, Stark is out there. And I believe it's Sparky again for Tyne and Fear. I can't quite see the number.
That'd be number 9, Moo.
Oh, it is Moo, not
Moo.
1-9, not 9-9. All right, we're off.
Ooh, a nice big hit, but Stark quickly recovers. Still trying to push players off, ends up putting 2 hands down in corner number 2. He is your lead jammer.
Moo getting pushed again to the outside, quickly jumps back onto the track.
And Moo picking up a cut track. He sure did. There
quickly.
was a blocker who leaped on back there. So now,
well,
wait a minute.
It's not a cut track.
Well, they were calling it on the outside. I think somebody may have waved it off or called it on somebody else. Outside pack jammer was pointing at what I believed was Moo. All right, we're going to see Lodge back out there and Sparky once again in the jammer rotation. 3-on-3 in the blocker war inside.
Standing at the Vault 31 pivot line. Nice apex jumps by Sparky for Tyne and Fear, picking up lead jammer.
Wow.
Some quick work to the outside. He's trying to juke in.
Yeah, he's definitely got some shaky moves.
Yeah, some hard pushes, gets Sparky through, picks up 4 points.
And that is going to be a forearm penalty on Bennett. And there is a high block penalty on Sparky. Now Lodge is in a power jam. Nice little hit. Lodge stays inbounds, weaving through players as if it's a line drill. Does get knocked out of bounds, but there will be a out-of-play penalty called. 5-point grand slam picked up for Lodge.
right, Lodge trying to come through the pack one more time before Sparky gets back onto the track.
Zimmer going way back, making Sparky start about 20 and a half feet back. Bennett comes in, plays some awesome offense. Got a forearm. That's 5 points put on the board. So sometimes,
You know, the trade-off.
yeah, look at them 5 points I got. I got a penalty too.
We'll see how it works out for the rest of the jam, but I think that might have been a fair trade.
Sparky also picking up a penalty on that, or a 5-point pass on that. He makes it back around, picks up another 4 points. So it seemed like a really good jam.
Lodge getting through again. That is 4 points more for Vancouver.
Yes, indeed. Nice offense coming from Tyne and Fear. They're trying to get their jammer free. Sparky unable to stay in bounds. Lodge also taking a dump there on the track. 4 points picked up by Tyne and Fear for that last pass. 3 points picked up for Vancouver. So now right now we've got a score of 49-37 in this jam.
There is a timeout. Looks like Tyne and Fear is calling for a timeout.
It's going to be turned into an official review.
Oh, never mind. In that last jam, each team improved their score by a third of what they had when the jam started. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, as I had said a little bit earlier, they had been nickel and diamond it the whole time. That time they both had some penalties, and that's made it easy to jump that score up.
There hasn't been a whole lot of both teams scoring in the teens kind of jams today. Another sponsor we have for today is, as you know, Rydell. Want to give a shout out to Rydell Skates for sponsoring the 2018 MRDA Championships. Also want to give a shout out to Bobby Narco for doing our stats for us live.
So we will update you how we know about this official review. So trying to review it for an upgrade for a penalty to an expulsion because it wasn't the rule that we
They're looking for an upgrade
our officials will talk about it, and we'll give you the outcome in just a moment.
So in that last jam, they're looking to upgrade that penalty to an expulsion on the jammer.
That was Jammer Black 8,
Yep.
so that's Lodge.
Yeah, for Vancouver. And that would not be a good thing for Vancouver at this point in the game.
Yeah, definitely. Lodge has been making the high scores. He had a 21-point jam.
Lodge is a great skater. Worked with him.
Sorry.
Yeah, I've skated with him a couple times, and he is a real good guy. He is. He's a good jammer for this Vancouver team.
I was looking at the stats wrong. That wasn't a 21-point jam. It was a 4-point jam that brought the score to 21. I do apologize for that.
That is okay. Looks
But
like they're
he
going to
does-
deliver the news down there on the track to the
Do
teams.
you have the mic? Hopefully the ref will use the mic so we can all hear it live.
It might be a good time for you to go visit our.
Well, so far in this game, penalties have been fairly low. Now, granted, we're only 15 minutes into what would be normally an hour-long game. Zimmer right now sitting on 3 penalties for Vancouver, and he is the highest penalized player out there currently on the track. Tyne and Fear only has 2 players with 2 penalties, and Vancouver only has 1 with 2 penalties. So what was decided on the track was the jammer, the Vancouver Jammer Lodge, jumped the apex, crashed into his own player, and took his own player out. So it wasn't a
Low block. I
It
think
wasn't
is what she
it wasn't a penalty that would cause that kind of expulsion.
Yeah.
Mr. Testosterone's out there for Vancouver. He was stuck in the pack, just finally got out on his initial pass.
Dark Matter with our lead with a quick apex jump.
Wow.
He picks up the points, calls off the jam immediately.
He was wriggling all over the place to get that jam called off before Mr. Testosterone could get around back in that pack. I'd like to give a big shout out to Hit This. Before you hit the track, hit this. Awesome derby wear that you can pick up. Check them out online, or if you're here in the venue, head on over and check out their goods and wares.
All right, jamming for Vancouver, we have Stark, and for Tyne and Fear, that looks like Moo. With a quick spin on the inside, he just barely out. He gets recycled to the back again.
Wow, Stark eking his way out, does pick up lead jammer.
Slamilton and a two-man, now a three-man wall. They are just wrapped around Moo. He's going to try and push through.
Zimmer kind of peeled off blockers that were stuck all over his player. He just kind of moved back and forth and unwrapped that wall. Multiplayer block that is going to be called out there on stand aside.
Stark having to jump over blockers, does make it through the pack again, picks up 5 points.
High block being called on number 9. That is going to put Stark in a power jam.
Stark working his way right around all the blockers. He gets through. That's another 5 points for Vancouver.
Yeah, this is what's going to open up this score right here. He's already on 15 points for this jam. Here comes the offense.
He does do a jump to the inside. Might have been okay, but he decides not to take any chances, and he recycles himself to the back.
It doesn't look like they know that jammer's coming.
And he did do a star stash, so maybe he'll sneak through.
Slamilton
saw him,
he finally figured it out right at the very end. But yeah, nobody was aware of the fact that Jammer had already served his time and was back in that track. Or at least they didn't behave like they were aware of it.
Stark calling off the jam, but not before picking up 20 points for Vancouver. Our score is 69-51, and that is the highest scoring jam of the game.
I'd like to give a big shout out to Vault 31 Bar. Let Vault 31 be your destination for roller derby, watch parties, esports, music, and more. Visit vault31.com for more information.
Lining up for Vancouver's Fluster Cluck. Tyne and Fear is Sparky.
Rassin Ford with a big hit. Sparky is still charging through. I believe he might.
That is a cut track on, on him, on Fluster Cluck.
Ooh, Bruceberry Pie getting a gigantic wallop up there. Gets knocked out of bounds.
Sparky making it through the pack. There are some penalties being called, I think.
Yeah, that's going to be on Dog, number 82 for Tyne and Fear, having a seat in the penalty box.
The Rydell penalty box. Sparky making another pass. That is going to be 5 points for Tyne and Fear.
Bruceberry Pie picking up a penalty, having a seat out there for Vancouver.
Fluster Cluck rounding again.
Wow, Harrison Ford used a Tyne and Fear blocker to take out Sparky on the outside line. That was quite a well-orchestrated hit.
All right, so Vancouver picking up 3 that time, and Tyne and Fear picking up 8.
Every time you think somebody's going to run away, it's the other team that's like, no.
All right, lining up for Vancouver, looks like that's Mr. Testosterone and Dark Matter lining up for Tyne and Fear. They're hitting the pack. Vancouver blockers taking the front of the pack, holding on to Dark Matter with the free wall. He does squeeze through on the inside to pick up lead. Tyne and Fear's number 50 does get sent to the penalty box. He's the pivot right now. Dark Matter picking up his 4 points, calling off the jam.
All right, no more points scored on that last. 4 points put up by Tyne and Fear.
Vancouver at 72, Tyne and Fear at 53. We have 9 minutes and 35 seconds left in this game.
Up next, you are going to see Moo out there going up against Stark.
All right, so Tyne and Fear blockers jumped forward across the pivot line trying to get an out-of-play penalty assessed on some of the Vancouver blockers. Looks like it worked because number 1 is headed to the Rydell penalty box.
Yeah.
Also, Harrison Ford, 1936 on Vancouver, also headed to the Rydell penalty box.
Ooh, Stark is out, and I bet you there's going to be a low block. Yes, there will be a low block called. That's going to be on number 26, Chemical.
So Vancouver picking up 4.
There's going to be a diet pack out there. It looks like there is 2 blockers right now sitting in the penalty box for Vancouver and 1 for Tyne and Fear. Timeout being called for Tyne and Fear.
All right, Tyne and Fear taking their time out, having a little pep talk over there in the corner. Let's look at some stats. Or let's try to look at some stats.
Well, there's the team roster. And so looking at the penalty stats, out there, like I said, Bennett right now is sitting on 3, and Zimmer is also sitting on 3. Big Sexy, of course, has 2. Looking for Tyne and Fear, they also have 2 players that are sitting on 3. That'd be Barnabash and Chemical.
Looks like our blockers are having a dance party right there on the Vault 31 pivot line.
Well, it's roller derby. There's, of course, the best time to have a dance party.
Yes. Keeps the mood light, keeps the hits hard. All right, jamming for Tyne and Fear is Sparky, and for Vancouver is Lodge.
And there's a pile up at the pivot line. Oh, and Lodge comes out the other side as your lead jammer.
Sparky right on his heels, about a quarter of a track behind. Big Sexy coming out of the box, trying to catch up with the pack there.
Wow.
Lodge jumps through, picks up. Waiting on the ref here. Picks up 4 points.
Yeah, that was very, very, very intense coordination. He was trying to call it off and step around those blockers and yet stay in bounds because there was no room for his feet to go anywhere. And so that was very, very impressive for Lodge to pick up all 4 of those points.
Good idea to get that warm-up dance party.
I definitely think it helped.
Just to get ready.
That strategy itself was fantastic.
All right, Vancouver blockers, they look like they're trying to take the front of the pack. There is an offensive pivot from Tyne and Fear in there. Dark Matter trying to use his offense to get through those Vancouver blockers.
Yeah, Stark in the back right now dealing with Tyne and Fear. All he's seeing is white and struggling. He gets knocked out at the pivot line on the outside. He gets knocked down, has to pick himself back up again.
All right, there is a penalty called on Tyne and Fear's number 8. That is the other Sparky. He's going to the Rydell penalty box.
Dark Matter, not your lead jammer. Does not matter. He hurdles that pack, picking up 5 points.
Stark pushing to the outside, takes a quick turn to the inside. It does get through the pack.
Slamilton. He is not going to have any part of that jump in the apex, but he gets knocked out. He gets sent to the penalty box for his nice big hit.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Zimmer.
And a forearm now being called on Stark. Stark struggling this jam. Normally very on it, but could not seem to make things happen.
With a rush 2 on the outside line, Dark Matter does get through the pack, picks up 5 points this time.
And here comes the offense. They've got all 4 of them blockers out there for Tyne and Fear.
Vancouver with only 2. Oh, a penalty being called on Dark Matter.
What? Wow. All 4.
Looks like Stark almost served the full 30 seconds, so it'll be close to 30 seconds that Dark Matter sits in the box.
And here comes
the Rydell penalty box,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Here comes the offense from Vancouver. And that was a
gosh.
big old hit for number 82, Dog. And
Nicholas Rage was hit one way and then the other.
oh, a nice maneuver right there in the straightaway. Managed to keep himself in bounds, and that's what happens when you get low. Drop your weight, drop low, and when you get hit, you can sustain a big hit like that.
So 14-point jam for Tyne and Fear, a 5-point jam for Vancouver. Vancouver still in the lead, 85. Tyne and Fear at 67. We got 5 minutes, 10 seconds left in this first half.
And for Tyne and Fear, that is the highest scoring jam for them so far. And it looks like Vancouver now going to call a timeout. They're going to go circle up in the penalty box. I like that.
Yeah, because Barnabash is sitting in the Rydell penalty box. So you know what? We're just going to bring the meeting to you.
That was our first jam without a lead jammer. Timeout number 1.
That was our first jam in this game that didn't have a lead jammer, I believe.
I'm really confused that there's a team over there, but it's fantastic commentators in their orange shirts, and I'm like, oh, which team's that
I
going
love
on?
their orange shirt. I love their orange shirt.
And a big shout out and thank you to all of our volunteers.
Love you.
Thanks for doing stuff because it's dead helpful.
Really.
Well, I think this is a pretty good timeout right now for Vancouver. That last probably 2 jams have looked a little messy actually for both teams. It's a good time for them to reel it back in. They've got a decent lead right now of 18
They hid the penalty box
with 5 minutes
timeout.
left.
The black team made it so that the white team couldn't communicate with the penalty box.
Oh. I just had something pointed out to me. I don't think that Tyne and Fear had anyone in the box, but when they had their meeting at the penalty box, if there had been someone in there, they wouldn't have been able to communicate with their team, with Tyne and Fear's team.
Wow.
Speaking of which, Moo getting hit to the outside on the first turn.
Yeah, Mr. Testosterone right now just battling. Man, he hits hard. Anyways, he gets a little bit of offensive help, but he has managed to shed all of those blockers that were trying to stop him, and he is not your lead jammer. This jam does come to an end. It does look like Moo did get out first. So that's a good call by Tyne and Fear.
Lining up at the Vault 31 pivot line. Everybody's starting way at the front. And with a last minute drop back to the jammer line, Tyne and Fear has a good 3-wall.
Yeah, Sparky right now up against the 4 blockers. Here comes a little bit of offensive help. That's going to be Nicholas Rage trying to open something up. Lodge manages to come out the other side as your lead jammer.
Sparky right behind him. Looks like he's going to give him a pass and forcing him to call it off.
We've had 4 scoreless jams, 2 in a row.
That's 4 scoreless jams so far in this game, and that is 2 in a row here as of late in this first half.
Looks like we're doing the lineup at the Vault 31 pivot line again.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of like old school derby.
I like it.
Yeah, we're going back to 2010. Nah, not really.
All right, Vancouver has a 3-wall at the front of the pack. They are doing their best to hold back Dark Matter.
Yep, and in the back, Stark still struggling trying to get out past Tyne and Fear. He's just trying to use his strength and muscle them around until that offense comes from Slamilton.
Dark Matter did make his way out. Is lead jammer for Tyne and Fear.
Stark finally out on his initial pass.
Dark Matter juking around, picks up 4 points.
Yeah, that was some great moves. This jam comes to an end as he calls it off, but man, he got a little bit of offense and he completely capitalized on the track.
We're going back to the nickel and dimes instead of the big scoring gems.
And also the score has gotten a little bit closer by them doing that. Tyne and Fear right now at 71. Vancouver 14 points difference, sitting at 85. Still in the lead, but it's gotten a little bit closer.
Now there is a blocker from each team in the Rydell penalty box at the start of this jam. Jamming for Vancouver's Mr. Testosterone, who is lead jam. And Moo is at the back of the pack trying to work his way through. He does get hit to the inside.
Again, Mr. Testosterone getting low, coming out like a cannonball.
With a pretty spin to the outside, he does tumble out of bounds.
A pretty spin?
It was pretty. I mean, it wasn't 100% necessary, but you know what?
Hey.
Style points.
Style points. I
Yes.
love it. All right, and with that, Moo has just navigated through the pack, picking up 4 points on that pass. I like how they're running the clock. They want to get them blockers back out on the track.
All right, there's
Moo right now.
asking for some sort of penalty,
No,
but you know what? Jam is over. Let's move on.
I'm thinking he wants his points, but there's a fist in the air, and he's waving it like he don't care. I want to thank Apex Wellness Center, jumping over the Apex Wellness Center anytime, and they're offering chiropractic, massage, acupuncture, and all kinds of other fun things to help you get back on the track. Located in Portland, Oregon, integrated healthcare at its peak.
Jamming for Vancouver, they put up Lodge, and for Tyne and Fear is Sparky. Sparky almost making it out of the front of the pack. Both jammers being recycled to the back.
Well, Lodge comes in very hot and heavy this time. There's one blocker left to beat. Gives him a love tap as he goes by, and he's out as your lead jammer.
With the Rydell penalty box finally empty, we got full force teams on the track. Lodge calling off the jam after getting pushed to the outside. Picks up 3 points,
3
looks
points,
like.
yep. So puts their lead back up to 22 as time very quickly ticking off the clock.
9, 7, 6, 5, 4.
I feel like a bomb's about to go off.
And done. Is it halftime though? Because
Dark Matter jumped out there like he was going to go skate. And,
were ready.
Yeah, I know, they were all ready. They're like, what just happened there?
we don't know the meaning of halftime, man.
So it looks like we are on halftime, at least according to the clock in front of us. But the officials are standing there looking cool.
They're being a little coy. They're like, is it halftime though? Is it? Okay, now it's halftime. There's the whistle. Okay.
All right. So as we roll into halftime, right now Vancouver sitting at a score of 97. Tyne and Fear sitting at 75. We're going to take a little break. Go get yourself an ice cool beverage, a little something to snack on. And we'll be right back after this.
All right. See you then.
Well, hey there, kids at home. I'm the King, and
I'm Brutiful.
all right, we've got some great fun halftime stats looking at you. Vancouver right now sort of leading the stat war. They've got 21 stats so far, or 21 penalties, I should say, so far in this game, as Tyne and Fear only has 17. Number 17, that'd be Zimmer for Vancouver, is sitting on 5 penalties, and they also have Big Sexy sitting on 3, whereas Tyne and Fear only has 1 player sitting on 3, so they're kind of spreading it out. That'd be number 26, Kim McAll.
Now, out of those penalties, only on both teams, only 4 of those penalties are jammer penalties. So the jammers are looking pretty good. The highest scoring jam in that first half was by number 37 on Vancouver, Stark, at 20 points. And on Tyne and Fear, looks like Dark Matter had a 14-point jam.
So they also had 3 jams that had that went the full 2 minutes, and they also had 2 that were scoreless.
And before the 10th jam, there was 5 lead changes, but since then, Vancouver has been staying on top.
Yeah, so coming into the second half as they're taking the track, as you can probably see on your scoreboard right there, Vancouver right now holding on to it, a 22-point lead. Vancouver sitting at 97, Tyne and Fear at 75. Both have 2 timeouts and, of course, their official review coming into the second half. And we've got another 30 minutes of awesome derby. And so far, if it's anything like the rest of the games we've seen today, they have been very, very close and tight, fun games.
Absolutely.
So
All right,
just like that, Mr. Testosterone, star on helmet, out of the pack, and Dark Matter picking up a cut.
Going to the box. Rydell penalty box.
So, Mr. Testosterone in a power jam. Tried to jump the apex, got knocked out of bounds. I believe that was by Nicholas Rage. Out of play is called. There's going to be an out of play penalty. Holy smokes, there's so much happening. I can't quit talking.
Looks like Nicholas Rage is headed to the Rydell penalty box for Tyne and Fear. Mr. Testosterone with only 3 blockers to beat.
Zimmer tried to play a little bit of offense. No pack is called.
Vancouver blockers anchoring the pack, trying to slow it down, let Testosterone do what he does best, and he pushes.
Interesting enough, they're only Zimmer is the only one throwing offense at that during a power jam, and that would be a power jam kill.
There we go, and Testosterone through the pack, picks up 5 points.
So they got 10 points out of in this opening thing so far, opening jam so far, and another 4 points being put up for Mr. Testosterone on that pass.
All right, Testosterone coming up to the pack again. He hits it hard to the inside, scoops to the out, goes back to the end with a little hop. He is through, picks up 4 points, calls off the jam.
All right, so that should be a full 18 points. That's what Vancouver wanted to come out and do. That is going to put them, that's going to put them, 37 points up to start the second half. That's a little bit of breathing room that they needed.
I mean, it's not unheard of to come back from 37 points, but
it's a whole lot better than to have that cushion than that 22 that they started the jam
like
with.
we saw in the last game where it was just less than 10 points for who knows how long.
Right. Well, Brendan Lodge is out there going up against Moo from Tyne and Fear.
But it is Moo that breaks through the pack and makes lead jammer for Tyne and Fear.
But coming in right behind him is Lodge, so they need to set it up and probably call it off. Well, they're not going to call it off, I think, quick enough. Yep, 2 points being put up by Lodge.
And 2 for Vancouver.
Yeah, but at this point in the game and in a playoff, sometimes you got to make some chance it a little bit. I might have tried to score a little more.
Yeah, I guess it's better to tie than nothing.
Once again,
right,
we got.
Tyne
Go ahead.
Taking the front of the pack. There is a Vancouver blocker that is mixed in with them to do some offense, trying to help Stark get through.
Yeah, Stark is really riding the players all the way through. Multiplayer block is going to be called, and that is going to put a blocker down for Tyne and Fear.
Going to the Rydell penalty box, by the way, was Kim McGow.
Stark was in the lead, but Sparky is quite the fast little skater. And, he caught right on up, forced that call off. So no points put on the board in this third jam of this half.
Lining up for Tyne and Fear, looks like Dark Matter is over there. And for Vancouver is Flustercluck. We do have a timeout.
Looks like the officials want to have a little chat down there on the track.
Check their hair.
Yeah, make sure they look cool.
Get some water.
Speaking of, if you want to go someplace really cool, Southside Speakeasy, located on 3529 Fairview Industrial Drive, southeast in Salem, Oregon. That is a place where all the cool kids go and get their drinks on. And so if you want to go and hang out with some cool derby folk, go to Southside Speakeasy.
All right, all blockers on both teamers hanging out at the Vault 31 pivot line.
Flustercluck is going to be on the line for Vancouver.
Vancouver blockers dropping back to the jam line to sit on Dark Matter.
Yeah, out of play in the back. And I think that's going to be Slamilton? Yes, it is. Who got that call?
Cluster Cluck is approaching the pack again, gets hit to the outside, jumps right back on.
And I advise everyone at home, don't say that 3 times fast.
You will likely mess it up.
Your mom will wash her mouth out with soap and water. 5 points being put on the board. That's going to bring Vancouver up to 122. Tyne and Fear sitting at 80 points.
So that's a 42-point lead?
Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
42-point lead for Vancouver. That's starting to turn into a nice cushion for them.
Yes, it is. So down the line, Moo is going to be out there. Lodge also out there with the stars on their helmets. They're going to be the next jammers in Jam 5. It is a diet pack. There's only 2 blockers apiece for each team out there.
All right, Moo. He made it through the pack. He gets recycled back, and then he's back through again. So he is lead jammer. Okay, yes.
Yep.
It is Tyne and Fear getting lead this time. After taking a look around, Moo decides to call it off.
Yep.
He's like,
Wow.
I don't think this is the battle that we want to risk right now.
Well, and again, I think they all wanted to waste a little bit more time out there. There are still 2 blockers down. One just had a seat for Vancouver. Sparky's out there, and that's going to be number 37, Stark.
Now, Vancouver's pivot is in the right L penalty box at the moment. He is standing, so he'll be back on the track soon. Sparky getting pushed to the outside, recycled back.
Wow, stand aside did a nice job holding on to Sparky, and that is not quite enough. Sparky is out on initial pass.
Stark in lead. Looks like he's going to race it.
Oh, yeah, that was a beautiful hit. Sparky tried to stay inbounds, but had to step out and step back around.
Getting pushed to the inside again. That was by
Bruceberry Pie. Yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful heads up and play. Catch that jammer.
Bruceberry Pie is on him, like not going anywhere.
Wow, this pack is spread all over the place. Hamilton had a player in the back. Either way, 5 points are being put on the board. They are gambling right now, and I like that. This is the kind of derby I like to see, where they just keep running that clock. And so far, 9 points are being put up for Vancouver. Tyne and Fear have scored a few points, but Sparky has not made it out of the pack on his scoring pass.
Vancouver's down 1 blocker now. Looks like Bruceberry Pie had to go to the right L penalty box.
Yeah, and that will then be the 5th penalty for Bruceberry Pie. There's the 4 points for Tyne and Fear's jammer Sparky. But Vancouver right now sitting on 14 for this jam, and they're back around for more.
Vancouver blockers pushing out Barnabash to the inside to stop the pack from moving so that their jammer can pick up some more points.
Well, I'm not quite sure what Vancouver did during the halftime, but they have definitely resettled themselves, had a big old stack of pancakes or something, and they have come out swinging. Vancouver right now sitting at 140. Tyne and Fear sitting at 84. That's a 56-point difference.
Lining up for Vancouver looks like Mr. Testosterone up against Dark Matter. Testosterone taking up the inside line, hitting Kimmick out pretty hard. just barely making it past Nicholas Rage at the front of the pack.
Yeah, there was some really nice offense being played in the back of the pack. Dog opening up a hole with a humongous hit, getting his jammer Dark Matter out.
Mr. Testosterone hitting that 3-wall backwards, forwards, outside, inside. He gets through, picks up 4 points.
Ooh, Zimmerman picking up a low block. That's going to be number 6. That's too bad. He's had a really good game, but it's just, yeah, a little penalty
messy,
heavy.
I guess.
Yep.
All right, on the outside tiptoe line, Mr. Testosterone picks up some more points. Looks like they give him 4. Dark Matter getting pushed to the outside again.
Yeah, he came in, and I'm a little, yeah, something was going down. Harassing Ford sitting in the middle of the track right now. I'm not sure if he had a wardrobe malfunction or a injury. Oh, he's getting up slow. I don't like the way that looks. Poor guy. Harassing Ford is
He did the neck signal.
yep, as in I am through for right now. So he's going to go have a seat. That's too bad.
Slamilton starting the next dance party at the Vault 31 pivot line.
10 more points being put up for Vancouver in that last jam. 7 for Tyne and Fear.
All right, jamming for Tyne and Fear is Moo hitting the front of the pack here. Gets it to the inside.
Fubar in there trying to play some offense. The jammer, though, is continuing to push on the side where the offense is coming from.
Now it's
Wow, everybody's putting a hit on Moo. Moo right down in the straightaway.
Lodge trying to run up the center, the middle, the inner line. Just barely gets a couple wheels off there and has to be recycled again.
There's going to be a penalty that's going to be assessed to Vancouver. Stand aside. We'll now have a seat in the Rydell penalty box.
Tank pushing Lodge out to the outside again. Lodge deciding he's going to hold on to his star for a minute. With a little bit of a star stash, he does get through the pack.
I always like that star stash. For those of you who are new at it, you can take your star off, hold it in your hand. It gives another option to either pass it off. Slamilton's a great option for those kind of things. And it kind of opens up where the blockers now have to pay attention to where's that pivot and where's the jammer, so it distracts them from focusing just on you.
It gives them just that quick second of the blocker going, wait.
Who should I be paying attention to?
I think that's him.
What's going to happen here?
Just that quick second that you need.
That's my generic roller derby voice, by the way.
All right, Fluster Cluck taking a couple of knees right before he gets to the pack. Doesn't slow him down, though.
Fluster Cluck now right in the top of that apex, weaving in and out and back again.
Sparky getting pushed to the inside by Big Sexy.
Fluster Cluck is out as your lead jammer.
With the pack picking up speed, it does give a little more space for Fluster Cluck to work with, though he's still having a ridiculous time getting past those.
And that's
who is that? Chemical and Dog.
Yeah, and that's a good call off right there. He picked up his points. There's no reason to force it unless you plan on running that jam for a full 2 minutes or something. Yeah, go ahead and call it off. Hold Tyne and Fear scoreless and continue to push your lead up. And really hone in what you want to do, because you've got a big game if you decide you want to win this.
Definitely. So right now, Vancouver has a 61-point lead over Tyne and Fear. As we're going into the next jam, we have Dark Matter jamming for Tyne and Fear and Stark for Vancouver.
Iron Fist with a nice big hit on Dark Matter, rocking him back. He reassessed where he wanted to be on the track, ran to the inside line, and Dark Matter is your lead jammer.
Stark right on his heels. Looks like he's going to jump for his points and call it off.
Yeah, that's
I think he tapped his hips before he went into the pack.
He did.
So he doesn't get any points, unfortunately.
Yeah, I probably would have at least tried to hit and get past a hip or two.
Yeah.
Right now, with 17 minutes on the clock, you definitely want to get as many points as possible. Slight pack advantage right now for Vancouver. They've got all 4 of their blockers out on the track. Only 3 out there for Tyne and Fear.
Jammer's getting a nice running start at the pack. Mr. Testosterone takes to the outside, tiptoes, hops through. He picks up lead jammer.
Low block being called on Moo. It was kind of incidental contact. They both went down in a pig pile. Bennett came up wincing a little bit.
But he's back on his skates. Testosterone coming through the pack. Didn't even look like he slowed down that time. Picks up 5 points for Vancouver.
Oh, man. Nicholas Rage with a nice hit on Mr. Testosterone. Mr. Testosterone, though, is no slouch. He jumped right on up, got on through, picked up his 5 points.
Almost made that apex jump.
He got lots of air, too. He jumped way up there.
You know, from here, I wasn't sure. I thought he made it.
Well, he may have made it, but he did pick up 2 points on that last pass. It's a grand total of 12 in that jam. And again, Vancouver holding Tyne and Fear scoreless in that jam. They were up to 166 to 93.
Yeah, that's a 73-point lead for Vancouver. They're making that cushion nicer with every jam now. All right, lining up for Vancouver is Lodge, and for Tyne and Fear, we have Sparky.
Offense coming from Fubar. Sparky jumps out at the top of the apex. He is your lead jammer.
Lodge getting recycled to get to the back. He takes off the star.
Wow.
Looks like he's thinking about a star pass.
Possibly. Rogers jumped in there, was going to have a nice big hit, and somehow Sparky managed to hurdle him.
Lodge coming up. He gets hit out again by Tank. Bull doing the recycle back for him. Lodge pinballing off those blockers trying to get through. It might pay off, and it does. That star stash and some pinball motion, he gets through.
This time they're all set up. They do scoot back to meet Sparky when he gets there, that they being Vancouver, forcing that call off as Lodge finally out of the pack and running around. No points being picked up for Vancouver in that. Tyne and Fear picking up 12 on that. They've now breached the century mark. They have 105.
Yeah, so they took that from a 72 to a 61. I'm sorry, they brought it down to a 61-point difference. So, all right. Vancouver taking the front of the pack. That's a menacing tripod they have there, but Dark Matter almost jumps right through it. He gets hit to the outside.
Yeah, he might have actually been cleared because I believe Bennett stepped out of bounds. He probably had a free way to go, but now, since he went back and restarted, he is your lead jammer.
And with a quick pass through the inside, Dark Matter picks up 4 points.
I like this. Tyne and Fear showing signs of life here.
And pulling off the jam.
And I think they're going to discuss it. 2 points. There it is. So 7 points. They had 12 points there in the last jam. 7 points now in this jam. They are definitely clawing their way back into this a little bit.
Yeah, now there's only a 54-point difference.
Well,
So they're edging away. They're chipping away at that lead.
it's less ugly than it was.
You got to fight for every point.
Yes, you do.
All right, Mr. Testosterone lining up for Vancouver. And we have Moo coming through the front.
Oh, Moo getting taken out.
Almost picked it up.
Yep, I wouldn't doubt if that is penalty on Iron Fist. And a high block also being called. Oh, that is a high block on Moo. So, Mr. Testosterone is your lead jammer.
Oh, and we have another Tyne and Fear blocker in the Rydell penalty box.
Pack is in the back. There we go.
The advantage really going to Vancouver right now.
4 points being put up. Yep. He passed a person, I believe, out of bounds.
All right, Mr. Testosterone coming through the pack one more time.
There it is. There's a nice pass right there. He managed to weave all the way through everybody. Mr. Testosterone picking up 5 points on that pass.
Getting it out to the outside. Now, the penalty box is empty, so we've got all the blockers back on the track
Well,
assessing the situation.
and looking at the blockers they had out there, Bruceberry Pie was out there. Bruceberry Pie is also sitting on 6, so they've got Zimmer and Bruceberry Pie both on 6.
Uh-oh.
With 12 minutes left to go, that's a risque.
All right, 5 seconds being called.
Flustercluck again out there on the line going up against Sparky. Ooh, nice
Flustercluck
move.
flustering right through. Picks up lead jammer from Vancouver.
Did a little rubber man move where he just kind of bended a different direction and the blocker could have put a body on him. Sparky does get out on his initial pass.
Flustercluck looks like he's going for it and calls it off. That is a hit and quit for Vancouver. Picks up all 4, I believe. Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. 1 point, though, is picked up by Tyne and Fear.
It's a long weekend. You've got a long time to be confident already. I still think it's Tuesday. But, you know,
And believe it or not, the Rydell penalty box is empty, so we're going to have 5-on-5, the way the Derby gods intended us to play Derby.
For Tyne and Fear, we have Dark Matter out there, and for Vancouver is Stark.
Oh, Dark Matter doing a nice, little weave. There's going to be an out-of-play call, I believe, and Iron Fist is going to pick up a low block. So numbers getting shredded out there. There's only 2 blockers right now for Vancouver.
Barnabash getting sent to the Rydell penalty box for hitting out of bounds.
Ooh, for Barnabash, that's going to be 6 on Barnabash if that's what it is.
2 blockers for each team out on the track right now. Dark Matter just whizzes right through. So does Stark.
Nice move on the inside. Oh, and that is a
does hit Stark
yeah.
to the inside.
Beautiful
Start hopping
catch.
right back up, getting 4 points.
Bruceberry Pie picking up a nice piece of Dark Matter. Knocking them out of bounds. No points scored, though, for either team.
On that pass.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 13 points were picked up by Tyne and Fear. 8 points picked up for Vancouver. Vancouver right now sitting at 190. Tyne and Fear at 126.
So the difference is now to 64.
Yeah, we're just under 10 minutes now in this game. Lodge is going to be down there on the jammer line, and we are going to have Moo out there for Tyne and Fear.
Moo working on that Vancouver line at the front of the pack. Barnabash tried to come in for some offense, and it ended up being on the floor.
Yeah. Well, he tried to go off with Big Sexy, and Big Sexy said, I'm too sexy for your hit. You didn't have to laugh. It was a dad joke. But hey, that's what we do.
Ain't nothing wrong with a good dad joke.
All right.
Moo getting hit to the inside, went flat on his back for a moment. But he picks himself up and he's back onto the track.
Lodge being taken back.
Big Sexy just ran through that pack, knocking people over before getting hit out of bounds.
Well, both of them just kind of giving some love taps around the track. Moo does come out in front. Lodge says, no, I'm going to go ahead and call it off. No reason to prolong the magic. We have 8.5 minutes to play.
So, 8.5 minutes left. There's a 69-point difference between the teams. Vancouver looks like they're possibly going to take this one, but I'm not ruling out a miracle.
Well, lining up on the Five Strides Jam line, you're going to see Sparky going up against Mr. Testosterone. Oh, Sparky coming in very, very fast. He is shedding blockers once again as we go. No pack is called. People are trying to reform.
Mr. Testosterone comes all the way from the back on the inside line at the apex and picks up lead jammer.
They are becoming very, very lucky. Sparky is he's like all over the place, and yet Vancouver continues to find a way to be lead jammer.
Mr. Testosterone taking a real low stance, bouncing off, deflecting off a Tyne and Fear blocker. And then he added a little spin on the end of it.
Wow.
Style points.
Sparky comes in and tries to rock that wall apart. Everybody looks like they got hit by an earthquake there. They were shaking all over the place, but they ended up catching him and locking him down. He's now kicked out of the corner number 1.
And Mr. Testosterone with another apex jump. Picks up 5 points.
And a high block is going to be assessed to Sparky, and now Mr. Testosterone is in a power jam. And man, he just got rocked. Did you see that? He went flying and ended up in a pile next to the feet of all those refs out there. I think with 6.5 minutes left, they may want to take a big deep breath and let them themselves just win this game.
So we're at the Vault 31 pivot line again. Everybody's hanging out at the pivot line.
Flustercluck out there in a power jam, and here comes the offense. They had one for a second, and Flustercluck is your lead jammer out there.
Looks like Sparky is standing. Flustercluck trying to hit up some more points.
Offense coming. They're opening up the inside. Flustercluck is weaving around. One blocker left to beat. Kimmick could not contain Flustercluck.
Sparky's back on the track fighting those Vancouver blockers at the back of the pack. Gets pushed to the outside. He's going to try again. Just barely missing a big hit from Slamilton. And speaking of Slamilton, I believe that was him that pushed Sparky to the inside again.
Yep, Slamilton picking up a forearm call, and he is now headed to the, I think he's getting a in sub because he didn't report fast enough, but I'm not, or maybe he didn't see, maybe he said something out there. Either way, Slamilton gets an extra penalty to cool his wheels off with.
Sparky getting hit and recycled to the back again. Coming up to the back of the pack is Vancouver blocker Big Sexy. Looks like he's plotting on some. No, he's just going to hang out. Thought he was going to hit.
He's going to join his friends. Yep, and that's what he was. It's a big guy in the way, and that shedded off those two blockers.
Sparky trying for that apex jump, just barely misses it.
Lodge calls off this jam. And with 4.5 minutes, Vancouver at 226, Tyne and Fear at 138. Once again, I am not sure what Vancouver did at halftime, but they have come out absolutely on fire, and they have been playing at an elevated level that Tyne and Fear cannot match.
We do have a team timeout. I believe that was Tyne and Fear that called it. Yeah, Tyne and Fear. Let's look at some penalties here. Who has the highest penalties? Oh, it's a three-way tie.
It is a three-way tie. So we are looking at Barnabash for Tyne and Fear is sitting on 6 right now. Also, number 26, Kimmick has 4 penalties, and that's also for Tyne and Fear. And then they got a couple spatterings of 3 and 2. They've been kind of sharing the love over there.
Mm-hmm. Over on the Vancouver side, looks like Big Sexy has 5 penalties. Number 17, Zimmer, he's sitting at 6 penalties. Number 31, Bruceberry Pie, she is at 6 penalties as well. Only about 4 minutes left in the game. I think they can make it without a foul out.
Well, they did field Bruceberry Pie. Once again, she is sitting on 6 penalties. Let's see how this works out for them.
With a sneak on the inside, then another swift to the outside. Dark Matter does pick up lead jam for Tyne and Fear.
And Stark still stuck in that pack.
Fubar trying to give Dark Matter some offense. Doesn't quite work out for him because he gets pushed to the inside.
Ooh, Mrs. Testosterone getting leveled by Fubar.
Dark Matter recycled again to the back.
Very tight wall being set up by Tyne and Fear. Stark not able to navigate through right now. Well, as I say that, he breaks through. He's got one player left to beat. Comes out the other side, and that's his initial pass.
Dark Matter trying to squeeze through on the outside. He's pushed out again. Decides to call off the jam.
Yeah, he picked up all 4 points. You know, you might have wanted to unless you were getting out, you might have wanted to call that off to try and conserve some of your time here in this game. Tyne and Fear right now at 142, and we've just got over 3 minutes left in this game to play. Sparky out there trying to find a way to get past those Vancouver blockers. Nice hit out, and Sparky's got to go back and start again. They're out of play. Lodge is up front. Got to let him go, and Lodge is your lead jammer.
Sparky coming up right behind him. Vancouver blockers, they're going to stay at the back of the pack here. They do have, well, they had it go, but they let it go.
Man, Sparky so fast. I know Lodge kind of got in there, was planning on calling it off. No points were scored by Lodge, but he was trying to pass that last player. Had he not called it off when he did, there would have been a deficit of points being put up because Sparky was right on his heels.
Up again, we have Mr. Testosterone for Vancouver, and it looks like Dark Matter for Tyne and Fear. 2 minutes, 10 seconds left in this game.
And the way they're lining up, it looks like Fubar is going to come right off that line and start playing offense automatically. And again, Fubar opens up that inside line. Brilliant offense. And Dark Matter's your lead jammer.
Mr. Testosterone trying to put the pressure on him. He's about a quarter track behind. Dark Matter makes a nice apex dunk. Picks up 4 points, calls it off just in time. Beautiful play.
All right, so that brings him up to 146. Minute and a half roughly left in this game. I once again want to give a big shout out to Rydell Skates for the sponsor of the 2018 MRDA Championships. They're awesome skates. I skate in a pair, and so should you.
All right, we're up. Looks like we had Sparky for Tyne and Fear and Stark for Vancouver. Sparky getting hit to the inside. Stark working the front of the pack. He's through in, lead jammer for Vancouver.
Oh, Sparky 1 foot in it. Oh, and he stepped out of bounds. Man, that guy has got moves upon moves upon moves. Vancouver is doing everything they can to hold him in there. Holy smokes, Bennett, though, dropping him like a wet bag of groceries. Man.
Stark muscles his way, pushes his way to the front of the pack, and they have to let him go. Picks up another, he gets 5 points there.
All right, coming out the other side, Sparky's got his helmet cover, finally putting it back on. 4 points being picked up by Stark. I think they're going to run it.
Sparky taking a roll to the outside. Hitting the pack again. Stark almost made it through. He got picked off, I think it was by number 8 on Tyne and Fear.
And there's going to be a forearm call being called on Stark, so their gamble of letting it run and it resulting in a power jam that they're giving up.
Now Vancouver does have a pretty good cushion here towards the end. Well, this is going to be probably the last jam of the game.
Most likely. I am banking on that. All right. So in the result that this does come down and everything stays like it is, unless there's some magical scoring frenzy that I don't know about, we are going to see Vancouver Murder moving on to have to play Southern Discomfort. That's going to be tomorrow at 11 a.m. And once again, I'm not calling this done, but with 10 seconds left. So that's going to be an interesting matchup.
All right, Stark coming through with another 4 points.
All right, so
our unofficial final score being 239 to 147 Vancouver.
And there will be an official review being thrown out there by Tyne and Fear. So, yeah, here come the captains. All right. So, well, it's a very interesting official review at this time, and I understand they want to try and maybe get another jam out of this, put some more points on the board, something along that lines. All in all things considered, Vancouver has come away with the win over Tyne and Fear. Vancouver put up a lot more penalties, but they also in that second half put up a lot more scoring passes.
Yeah. just waiting. Did they do the whistle?
Yeah. No, they are still going to go over and discuss it. Yes, we do now have a final score. We have a final score of Vancouver 239, Tyne and Fear 147. So it was a very big win by Vancouver, who now gets to move on and once again play Southern Discomfort tomorrow at 11.
Yeah, I mean, it started out a really close game.
Oh,
we
yeah.
had all those lead changes in the first 10 jams, and then Vancouver pretty much just took it from there.
Yeah. They, like you said, they held it very, very close, and a lot of times teams will come out like this, will be very excited, come in with tons of energy, but it really comes down to what kind of endurance. What have you done to prepare yourself to come into these type of games? Because you have to play a full hour and maintain that level of intensity for that full hour.
Well, we are setting up to do an interview with one of the Vancouver skaters. It looks like we're going to be talking to Scott Slamilton in our post-game interview.
And that should be exciting. He's always a good guy.
You know, he came from Puget Sound also.
Yes.
So we're seeing a lot of the Puget Sound skaters on different teams now.
Well, you know, there was a lot of talent in Puget Sound, and you know, whatever may when people go to different places, it always is a benefit to wherever they may go, bringing their skill with them.
And who doesn't love a good shake-up, right?
Oh yeah, no, and you know, it's always interesting to see, you know, how different teams get these new players and what they become and what kind of shakes out of it at the end of it.
All the transfers.
Yeah.
Transfer gate.
All right. Well, folks at home, I am the King.
I am Brutiful.
And it has been wonderful to get to call this game with you guys. So we're going to go ahead and send it down to the floor. And from me to you, thank you very much.
Have a nice night. Bye.
Vancouver Murder, who just won their first game of the weekend. How are you guys feeling now?
Feeling good. We got our warm up. We got our kinks out. We're feeling strong. The floor's slick, so it's about coming together and making sure that we stay together and keep the jammer in the seams. So we did that and feeling good.
Feeling good. So you will be going on to play Southern Discomfort. That's going to be a very good game. There have been some really close games this weekend. How are you feeling going into the next game?
We're feeling confident. You know, we know it's going to be a big game. That's the game that we're looking forward to. There's going to be big hits, and getting the kinks out now was very important for us. So feeling good going into the second game.
Okay. And last question, I'm going to say, what has been your favorite game of the day so far, except the one you've just played? What have you seen that you loved?
Oh, that I loved. I love how close these games are. So if I can point, it was the first game. It was the
Magic City and
Magic
Philly.
City. Yeah, Magic City and Philly. That was probably one of my favorite games to watch. I like that. Yeah.
That's good.
Cool.
We want you to stick around. We have more fantastic derby. I'm thanking Scott Slamilton for Vancouver Murder, and stick around.